But you like the MMA, right?
Well, it's a very brutal sport. So, all of the punches to the head, it's got to be worse than boxing in a way, because you're kicking and you're choking. And the only thing they don't allow is eye gouging and
Biting.
hitting in the back of the head with your head or something.
Don't you worry about the message that propagates by watching it?
I do worry about it, so I would never watch it with kids around.
Yeah, but someone knows you're watching it. If people didn't watch it, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I'm all for, like, if you want to pick two people and have them beat each other up and put that on video.
No, I would not put it on video.
I think it's a slippery slope to start regulating that, right? To tell people they can't do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of like a car crash.
Yeah.
Right? You shouldn't watch it for benefit or pleasure.
Yeah.
But it's hard to resist.
It is hard to resist.
So you got a favorite fighter?
Not really, although I like to see these guys that are real humble win a fight.
Okay.
And I like to see the guys who are real. Like, there's one Irishman. He's about, 5'6". He's skinny as a rail. He probably weighs about 135 pounds.
Yep.
And he's got a red beard. I can't even remember what his name is, but he's a real braggart. And when he walks, he sachets his. He's a definite
I thought you said he was humble.
No, I say I like to watch that kind of guy get beat by a
humble fighter.
Yeah.
Sure. So you're rooting for the underdog.
Yeah, well, and the one that is almost like Ali. His rope-a-dope, I really never understood it, but somebody quoted in a sports show what he was actually doing, and he was actually sidestepping the guy so that he would open himself up to his punches.
Sure.
And I don't know how effective that would be in a regular boxing match, but evidently he could do it and get away with it,
Yep. Yeah.
Nobody really attacked him or touched him that much. I think that's almost why he lived so long and was not affected by it. But in the end, his mind did go.
Yeah. As all of ours will do.
So what's the topic tonight?
Well, we have a few you have suggested, which are okay, so we went through the oatmeal story.
Did you ever get the audio of my mother wanting me to get spanked for dirtying my shoes and socks?
Yeah. Yep. So we got that one.
Was that a vocal?
We did. Yep. Where you had to go down to the basement with your dad.
Yeah.
Yep. So we got that one. But the other ones that I have, I think the 2 or 3 are the hitchhiking story to New York.
Okay.
Or your experience at Altoona at the Catholic school.
Okay. Let's do the hitchhiking. Let's do the hitchhiking one to New York.
Well, do you want to hear all your options?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so you got the hitchhiking New York. You got there's a wrestling story. I'm not sure what that was. I think it was probably your wrestling days back in high school. And then talking more about St. Cloud. But then we've got 94 different topics to talk about beyond that.
Oh.
Which is kind of just the standard list that I've put together to go through. So whichever one you're excited talking about, we should talk about now.
Well, let's do the New York hitchhiking when I was probably 17 years old.
Okay, well, let's set the stage. Just give me the 2 minutes how you got from being, maybe after your dad died until you got to 17. What was the timeline there? So after your dad died, you lived with your sister.
Yeah, I was probably 11 years old at that time.
Okay.
And so I was either going into 5th or 6th grade.
Yep.
And so my dad up and dies. Now, did I tell you how that happened?
Yep. You told me how that happened. Yep.
All right.
And then you went to live with Claire in
So
Wisconsin
then,
for a while.
no, so then I lived at home with Claire and Clancy at 607.
Okay.
Because they had just gotten married, and so it was me and my brother Jim and my brother Dave. I guess he was a senior in high school.
Yep.
Or a junior, or either one of those, junior or senior in high school. And he was going to join the Navy when he was 18 and could do that. And so my brother and I were living with Claire and Clancy, and all of a sudden at the end of that school year, there was 1 month left of school. So it was the month of May. And all of a sudden, I guess Aunt Joan and my uncle Awalt conspired together to convince Claire and my mother, who I think was in a mental institution at that time. So it was probably Claire and Barb that made the decision to send me to this boarding school because I was such a big handful to handle.
So you would have been about 13? 11. Okay. So you went to the boarding school.
Into 5th grade or 6th grade. I can't remember what.
Okay. So you did boarding school for a summer, and we'll definitely.
For a month. No, just for a month.
Oh,
a month
for a month. But it can fill a whole episode here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have enough to tell us about it.
Yeah.
And then somehow you got out of boarding school.
Well, no, they drove me over there, and I guess I wasn't too concerned about it. But then I guess when they left me there, I kind of discovered that I was going to be there for a while.
Yeah.
So I was kind of, I can't remember that day too much, but you would have thought I would have cried kicking and screaming or something. But I guess that's just what they did back then.
Yeah.
And it kind of interested me because they had rifles that they allowed the kids to carry and march with. And what I found out is that they were just wooden rifles. They were just facsimiles.
They weren't actual guns.
But I learned how to do you stood at attention with the rifle and you kicked it out with your foot. And then it swung in front of you and you caught it with your other hand, and somehow or another you flipped it and it ended up on your shoulder and you were at attention with the rifle. Yeah. And so I thought that was a pretty good deal. So then when I was, and I can't remember the food too much there because I don't think I got a whole lot of it. But I did enjoy the jam, I can remember, but I don't think I had very much of that either. And you had a single bed and you slept in an auditorium about the size of 40 feet by 20 feet with about probably 30 or 40 other guys, of varying ages from probably 4th grade up to 6th grade. And I met a kid that was from my hometown, but I didn't know him very well. And he went to the school, St. Augustine's, that I went to. And his name was Fred Leonards. And I guess he was just a hellion, so that's why he went there. Just a hellion, I guess.
I mean, were you? That's part of the reason you got sent there, because you're.
I don't believe I was.
Yeah, but your dad had just died, so I could imagine you had some maybe outbursts or weren't yourself.
I don't recall any.
Yeah.
I don't recall any.
Okay, so you somehow got out of that and got back home.
Well,
right?
Well, when I was there, I kind of enjoyed it, but I got homesick, so I saw this train tracks that were north of the school.
Okay.
And I see that there were trains there that would stop. So my plan is to get on one of those trains.
Yep.
and I didn't know east from west.
Sure.
And I would have to get on a standing train because I don't think I could run fast enough to get in there, and hook onto the thing and open up the doors.
Yep.
But that was my plan. And then they came and picked me up at the end of June. And they decided, well, we won't send you back there because you didn't like it. So we'll send you up to St. Cloud.
So
to live with my sister, Barb.
So from an earlier age, you had already been thinking about escaping on a train.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But not knowing anything about it, not researching it or anything like that.
So then, after that summer, you went up and lived with Barb in St. Cloud.
Yep. Yeah.
Who's your oldest sister, right?
Oldest sister, yeah.
Yeah. And then how many years did you spend up there?
I think we spent 2 years up there. So I spent 6th grade and then maybe 7th grade up there.
I mean, you must have had friends in St. Paul though, right? Did you just
not really, not any that I could remember that much about.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't really have any neighborhood friends that I could recall.
Sure.
And I was going to St. John Vianney Catholic school.
Okay.
So I guess I had some friends there, like Vincent. Oh gosh, I can't remember his name. Vincent, and then Kevin Melberry, and there's a few other names that I can remember if I think about it long enough. But I got to know those kids pretty well. But they were out of my neighborhood. Yeah. I lived down on 9th Avenue, and they lived up by Casey's old house up there on top of the hill.
And St. Vincent's was probably because
St. John Vianney.
St. John Vianney was probably like a religious school or
parochial
school. So people kind of came from all around, right? It wasn't like a neighborhood school.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty much the neighborhood though. Pretty much South St. Paul kids.
Yeah.
They were parishioners of the church.
And then where'd you go to school when you were up in St. Cloud?
Oh, and while I was at St. John Vianney, I got to be an altar boy. Yeah. When I was an altar boy for 2 or 3 years, and then this guy and I thought, well, geez, the priest has this extra wine. Why don't we taste it or drink it? So we drank it, and he found out about it, and then we got kicked out of altar boys. So all of that Latin learning was for nothing. God. And then they changed from Latin to English.
Yep. So it was really for nothing.
Yeah, really for nothing. But then living up in St. Cloud, I got in. I get in with a pretty good group of kids. Not too many friends that I could remember, but I remembered that they ran. I came in at I don't know, like in September, late September or something, when I registered there, and they ran out of classroom space for me, so they stuck me in this math class that was for accelerated students.
Mm-hmm.
They knew all of their basic facts, and they were beyond algebra even.
Yep.
Or they had a little bit of algebra. So, and this guy was, and I think it was a guy, he was teaching base number systems.
Yep.
And I don't think I really understood it very well.
They're very counterintuitive for sure.
And I never knew place value that much. I mean, I heard about it, but I really didn't understand it. And of course, you had to know place value with all of these, because when they'd give you a number like 110 in the binary system, you had to know what that was. And 0 was the ones place. And then the second one was in the tens place. And then the other one was in the hundreds place. So that was like 110. No, that's not right. No, it was the ones place and then the twos.
Yeah, so it was
so that was 1, 2, and then the next one was the 2 to the second power, which was 4.
Right.
So then that would be 4 plus 1 would be 5. So that was like the number 5.
Yep.
But it took me a long time to get that. And then they would change the base. They would change it to base 5.
Yep. You just got used to it, and then they changed.
And I said, how the hell do you know what the numbers are in base 5? Well, they're all the digits below 5, and 10 is a 0, and 4 is a 9.
I mean, did you ever ask yourself, why is this even relevant?
No, I never even thought to know why it was relevant.
It was just what you had to do.
Just what I was doing. I did it all by rote.
Yeah.
And I found out that I really didn't understand what was going on. So I kind of got to know either one or two of the kids. And so I'd kind of work with them.
Yep.
Whatever they had assignments and stuff. And he had packets. And God, I saved them for a long time because they became so interesting when I look back at them later. I mean, it was literally something that he made up and stapled together. You know, about the number systems.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was like base 12. And I thought, holy shit, what is base 12? Well, that's up to 11, and then 12 is 10.
All in one numbers place.
All in one number.
Yeah.
So and then he had us multiplying and dividing with those numbers.
Yeah.
So he had all kinds of activities, but I never got in trouble at that school. And I can't remember the playground things, but I don't think we did playground things because of like junior high. He didn't have any time to be down. I can't even remember having a study hall.
So you liked it up in St. Cloud?
Yeah, I liked it up there, and lived with my sister Barb, and she seemed to be really understanding because she was a wild hair when she was young.
Maybe I should add that to the list. Wild hair Barb stories.
Oh yeah.
I haven't heard any of those, but
oh God.
Okay, so
that was when she was.
How did you get out of St. Cloud?
Well, we lived there for 2 years, and then my mother got better.
Okay.
So then she was back at home, and then so she would take on the boys. And then we lived there with Claire and Clancy, I think, for a year or two while he finished college.
Yep.
And then he went out to North Dakota. And I don't know, one of those big cities out there. And he became an optometrist where he measured for glasses.
Yep.
And he knew a lot about numbers, so that was an easy transfer for him. Sure. And then somehow or another he came back and completed a college degree for accounting. And so then he and my sister Claire moved out to Rice Lake, Wisconsin, and lived there for like 30 years. And so when I was living with my mother, I was always having to drive her places. So I thought, God, why don't I teach her how to drive? So I got her in the car a couple of times, and I don't think we had a clutch. We had an automatic, so it was just the brake and the accelerator. But I think I scared her one time, and I don't know what I did, if I raced the motor or if I grabbed the steering wheel or something, and she was real nervous, and she said she just didn't want to do it anymore. So I said, okay, fine, you know.
So this must have been when you already had your license.
Oh yeah, when I was at least 16 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Claire and Clancy had moved out, gone to North Dakota, and then Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And then you were living with your mom in 607.
At 607, yeah.
And Dave had gone into the Navy?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But Jim was still there.
Jim was still there.
Okay. All right. So we're getting to when you were 16 or 17.
And so then when I was in junior high school, I think 7th grade, that's when I met your mother, Jean. And we were kind of very steady. Very, very steady. And that's the first time I met this Pete Veldman, which was my wrestling coach.
Mm-hmm.
And they had wrestling at this junior high school for the high school and for the B squad, which was supposedly the kids that didn't make the A squad. But they had a wrestling room like in the cafeteria with pillars. So you had to put mats around the pillars and then put down the mats each day and take them out and put them back for each practice every day.
Yep.
And I got to be pretty good at it. And then there was finally a wrestling room over at the high school that I remember. So then we didn't have to do any more of that stuff in the junior high. And I was pretty good at wrestling. I won about probably 95% of my matches.
So what, I mean, what made you get good at that particular thing?
You know, I don't really know. I don't really know.
Do you wrestle with your brothers and sisters?
No, not really. And I don't think I ever wrestled my brother either, even in practice. But I was, I think I was lighter than he was. So I always wrestled at 138 when it came to state, district and state championships. And he always wrestled at 145 or something like that, or 154. And I also played football in high school.
Yep.
But then wrestling is a whole nother topic. But then this New York trip came along, and I used to hitchhike around the cities quite a bit because I didn't have access to the car all the time. And so hitchhiking was a real common thing back then. And I had this theory that if I was dressed in shorts and if I was reading a book, people would pick me up. You know, you'd sit on your suitcase and you'd read the book and put your hand out. And so I thought that was a pretty easy trip. And so this friend of mine, Tom Sutherland, and I, we decided to go to New York. And I had probably $100 with me, maybe, if that.
I mean, you talked about it beforehand, or like during the school year, did you talk about it?
Yeah, we kind of talked about it, and then decided to do it in the summertime.
But you didn't tell anybody. You didn't tell any adults, obviously. Right?
Well, not really, until I was ready to go. And then my older brother found out about it, Dave. So he must not have been in the Navy at that time. And he said, well, you gotta do what your mother says. And mother said, well, geez, the garage has got to be painted under the eaves. And that was a really hard job because you had to go up the ladder, and they didn't have other than a paint and then a paintbrush. You know, it was a real hot summer, and it was hot, dirty work. So I went at it for about 3 days straight so I could go. And it was sometime in August. And of course, my mom didn't try to stop me or anything. And how we got, it was highway, would be considered Highway 94, called 94. It was called something else, but it was 94 out there by out by 3M, just west of M, maybe a couple miles.
Yep.
And also we said we'd like to go rather than, so we got a couple of rides. I think the furthest to was Maple or Clare, Wisconsin. And I don't know where we overnight. There were YMCAs back then. But I remember in the morning we were at breakfast counter, and oatmeal was like 30 cents. And you could have as much butter and as much chocolate as you wanted. And so I ordered it real creamy and put the chocolate and the butter in it. It was just, ever so good. I just loved it. And I can't remember what my friend Tom Sutherland ate. He probably ate a regular breakfast. then we got out on the road again, and then it must have been more like a highway, because we would hitchhike off the ramps.
Wait,
off
so
the entrance ramps.
hold on, go back. So when like you were painting the garage,
Yeah.
and at what point
So I
did
had
you?
to finish the eaves. I had to finish the eaves before I could go on the trip.
Okay, but so your mom knew about this trip you were going to go on.
Yeah, yeah,
You told your mother when you were 17 you were going to hitchhike
yeah,
to
yeah,
to
yeah,
New York.
yeah. And I don't think she liked it, but she really didn't say I couldn't do it.
I can't even fathom that.
I can't either now. I can't.
Okay.
And the agreement that we had between the two of us was that neither one of us would be not awake. In other words, one would sleep while the other one was awake.
That was
So
your
that,
only safety protocol.
yeah, so that people couldn't drive off with their stuff in their car or in the truck.
So you must have like packed a bag or something, right?
Yeah, I had some kind of a duffel bag with pants and maybe another pair of shoes. I don't think so, because I had tennis shoes. But I dressed, and I don't think I had a really warm jacket, although I must have. But the thing is, we made it out to New York City, and New York City was like another planet.
Wait, hold on. So like you walked over to your friend Tom Sutherland's house
Yeah,
and you said, "All right, it's time to go." And his parents
yeah,
must have known.
yeah, yeah. And he had a mother and father.
And then what, you just walk down the street until you could hitch a ride?
Yep, that's what I think we. That's what I think we did. And we didn't have even a map with us.
Okay, and then you said you went down to 94 for what
Yeah,
was
we
the
got to 94, but it wasn't called 94 then. It was called something else.
Yep.
It was just a highway going east.
Yeah, through Rhonda, the old Rhonda neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, we the most that I can remember is that we got to New York City.
But how many days
And,
did it take you to get there? It must have taken you.
oh, like 3 days, 4 days.
You were riding in what? Sedans, semis?
Trucks, cars. We got a lot of truck riding rides because they were at truck stops, and you'd ask them if we could ride with them.
So how many different cars would you say you took out there?
Oh gosh, I would say probably at least 15 or 20.
But where'd you sleep?
I can't remember that very well, but we must have rented a room somewhere in a hotel or motel.
Okay, so you stopped and got a room for the nights at least.
Yeah, for the night, and then we'd get up in the morning.
Okay.
And we never really had any trouble with anybody.
And you had $100 each. So
yeah, yeah. There was nothing. There was no credit cards or anything like that. There was just money.
Yep.
And so we get to New York City, that I can remember. And when I got there, it was like being on a different planet. See these tall buildings and these streets and cars, and oh my God, getting around there was just, we never took a taxi or anything like that. We always just bummed rides. And then we got to this one restaurant in New York. We were having dinner, and this guy started to talk to us. He says, "Well, where are you guys from?" "I'm Minnesota." "And where are you going?" I said, "Well, New York City." "And well, you're in New York, so now where are you going to go?" And I said, "I don't really know." And he didn't really know. So he says, I've got an apartment, and a bed for you guys to sleep in if you want to at night. And so we thought, hell, that's kind of a good offer. So we both go with this guy to his apartment, and he feeds us. And he wasn't creepy at all. We're kind of suspicious, because he just didn't seem right. Didn't seem like he was a good guy.
Yeah.
So in the middle of the night, we and we went to and rented a room for like $2. $2 bed and a.
Do you remember what part of New York City you're in?
No, I do not. I just know that it was huge. The
I mean,
buildings were huge. I don't even remember crossing the bridge.
you must have been in like lower Manhattan, like the Village or something.
Yeah, I must have been. But it was a big, scary place, and I know we only spent a day or two there, and then we hitchhiked back because we got lonesome.
Did you call home every day?
I think we must have. Yeah, we had a calling system where we would use the payphone to call my mother person to person, but I would ask for my Aunt Grace. And then the operator, you could hear your mother on the other line, and the lady would say, "This is a person to person called for," and then she'd say, "Is Aunt Grace there?" Of course, my mother would say, "No, she'll be home in a little while." And my mother could hear over the phone the operator saying that we're calling from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. This is a person-to-person call. It was going to be about, I don't know, $5. And she would have to pay it. Well, she didn't want to pay that, so then she'd just hang up.
Yep. But she knew you were okay.
Yeah, she knew we were okay.
The same system we used when we were kids, right? We'd call collect and sneak a message in.
Yeah.
And then you would know to come and get us or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Or you'd know what city you were at.
Yeah.
And she could even hear me talk on the other line. She could hear, well, I'm on 5th and Fairview something in this town.
Now,
so I didn't even talk to her over here.
That would have been 1963, right?
Yeah, 1960.
So New York was not a nice place in 1963.
Well, it couldn't have been too bad.
I mean, do you see a
lot
of
nobody really scared us or anything about, any trouble.
Yeah. But you must have seen, I mean, there was tons of people out on the street. You guys were roaming around. You were young. You didn't know what you were.
Oh, yeah. And we had satchels that we're carrying,
Now, after all, I mean, when was the next time you went back to New York City after that?
I think when I moved you out there.
So that would have been 2009.
Yeah.
So from 1963, you saw New York City.
Yeah.
You hiked all the way out there.
I think we saw Fred at his apartment when he was maybe 5 years before that or something.
Sure. 10 years before that or something. You went out to visit Fred.
I don't know. Fred would probably remember if I came out there or not.
Yeah. But it was just as big and exciting to go there in 2009 as it was probably back in 1963. I mean, I remember you taking us out there. We didn't know what we were doing. I felt the same way.
Oh. Yeah. But then on the trip home, we got so homesick, I don't think we slept. We just kept riding and slept in the vehicles or trucks that took us.
Yeah.
And we got to Eau Claire, and it was raining like cats and dogs. And so I do remember that we stayed in a motel room. And I said, we got to get back. We got to get up early in the morning to hitchhike back home. And he said, well, I don't want to hitchhike anymore. I'm going to take the bus. So he was done. Took the bus and he went back home. So I hitchhiked the rest of the way till I got home. And I think I might have called my parents or called Jim when I was, within driving distance, like in Minnesota someplace, like in St. Paul or something.
Yep. By yourself.
Yeah, by myself. Yeah, and we were kind of angry at each other because he kind of left. And
so this whole time, do you bring a camera or anything with you?
Oh no, we didn't take any pictures. No pictures.
Amazing.
And that guy just died probably 2 years ago. And I could have gone over and talked to him about it, but I didn't, and I missed it. So it's one regret that I have.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I know you've told different versions of the story to us over the years. I would imagine it's because you don't want us to go hitchhike somewhere without telling you.
Well, no, it's hitchhiking dangerous. I mean, God.
Well,
it's a whole difficult out there.
I mean, I've learned to pick up hitchhikers from that story from you. You know how many hitchhikers I've picked up in my life?
Oh, no, how many?
19.
19, jeez.
Which is not.
And I picked up some hitchhikers too, but I mean, they gotta look reasonable. You know, I mean, you don't want somebody that looks scruffy or has a dog, or, you know, even if they have a dog, if you have room for them. But
I haven't said no to a hitchhiker if I see one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I used to figure that it was a cool way, and my brother Dave would always pick up hitchhikers. Hell, he would stop at the last few years of his life, probably the last 5 years. He would stop when people were stopped on the edge of the road to see if he could help them. And I thought that was dangerous.
Oh, yeah. All the time. I mean, countless people. If I see someone stopped, I'll stop for them.
Yeah. Well, I'll call 911 for him or something, or ask him to get, you know, I don't know as I would give him a ride, but I guess I would.
You would.
Yeah. Depending on how they looked, I guess.
But if they're changing tire or something and they just need an extra hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I saw that movie of, you know, this guy that's, I can't remember what the name of the movie is, but I know it when I see the title. He's going after this drug money guy who's captured the money. You know that movie?
It's not, is it a Western?
No, but it's like in Texas, I think. And God, the guy that's the star of the show he's a real famous actor now. And he had a gun that was gas.
Yeah,
it was gas.
It was the cattle rod or whatever.
Yeah, but it shot bullets.
Yeah, but it was made for killing animals. Yep, I know which one you're talking about. It's what's that guy's name? I'm gonna have to look it up. Oh, yep, it is a recent famous movie. I can't think of it.
She doesn't like it. She doesn't like it.
I mean, it's real bloody.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the bad guy wins in the end. So it's very un-American.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, that was a good one, Dad. We'll get that down for the record here. It was nice to hear about New York and hitchhiking out there.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
Love you.
You too. Good night. What'd you do today?
Worked all day. Still, I'm going to work a little bit more tonight. Yeah.
Same old stuff?
Same old stuff. Saving the environment one side at a time, you know?
Jeez. Is everybody to work there after the quarantine? Or do you stay at home?
Most people are working from home. We have a few field staff out at different sites, so where they can work, you know, at safe distances, and they don't have to travel. We're still.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We'll see you here in a couple of days, okay?
All right.
All right. Love you. Take care.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.